I would like to ask Mr. David Grunwald to join me at the podium. David is an AI automation strategist and recognized AI expert with over 28 years of experience in digital strategy and business leadership. Over the past 3 years alone, he has trained more than 2,500 professionals across Europe, Africa, and Asia in the use of AI. He also teaches digital strategy at the Free University of Brussels. And in his session, From Chatbot to AI Agent, How AI is Transforming the Way We Communicate, David will show how AI can help you in your work if you use it responsibly. He will also discuss the ethical use of AI and why you should give a chance to European AI alternatives. So, David, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Sound check is okay. Where's my mouse? This place. Arrange. Okay, let's just see the sound. Sound here. There's no sound, huh? Yeah. You will put the sound? Okay. So let's do this. That's mine, yeah. No, that's mine. Good morning, everybody. I'm very glad to be here, and especially today because I woke up this morning noticing that the Belgian Red Devils have beaten 4-1 the Americans. So I'm very glad and very excited to start in honoring the Red Devils today. Hopefully the echo is not so annoying, but I'll do my best to have a closer voice, and maybe it's better like that. I'm David Grunwald, and I'm the founder of Plugin2.ai. It's a consultancy agency, and I'm helping individuals, empowering people and organizations to have a better usage of AI with the best methods to empower you in your everyday work. I have a track record of 28 years in the communication, and I've been working for a couple of DGs in my life, but it turns out that in 2020, with the COVID, I decided to step down from the advertising and communication world to start a training at the MIT, and this is the reason I'm here. But today, and in this 40 minutes crash course, I would like to walk you through actually maybe the most consequential shift in digital communication. From the evolution of your AI assistant, and you might use ChatGPT or Copilot, to AI agents and AI operating systems that are going to tremendously change digital communication. This is not about the same way you're going to interact with your chatbot, asking questions and getting an answer. This is going to change the way you search, analyze, and produce pieces of communication. But I will not only walk you through this evolution with the positivism and the good news, I will also evaluate and walk you through the second story aligned with this. What are the consequences of the choices that we're making in these solutions? Are we just going for American AI? And this is great, they are very performing, but what are the consequences for the data protection, the sovereignty of your data, but also macroeconomic problem that might occur in the coming years for Europe. Okay? So let's start with the positive thing. There's scientists who said this is a totally crazy evolution. Those last 6 months, the evolution is so fast in the AI world. It's like you're switching from the Pac-Man universe to the Sony PlayStation 6 universe, not in 45 years' time, but in 6 months. And every 6 months, this is a real major shift, a revolution in the way we are interacting with systems. Before, if you wanted to generate complex things, complex images, complex videos, complex reasoning, you had to deal with complex softwares. Today, if you have a voice and you can talk, well, actually, you can control machines that will provide you with very complex things. And the shift is here. We are, of course, using AI as a chatbot, and this is evolving. But the second step, and this is pretty true in 2026, we're now building up workflows, agents capable of achieving a couple of things for us. We'll talk to that. It's a companion, a working partner. But the near future, starting now, is about AI operating systems. It's additional co-workers in your organization, in your department, working with you, doing things for you autonomously with your supervision. We'll talk about that. So first things, you have to know that there's a real evolution of large language models. The one that you're using, or the ones that you're using, might be Copilot, might be ChatGPT, might be Gemini, might be Claude, have evolved from a simple chatbot where you're asking a question, you get an answer from the data set and all the training data, and this is still valid and still great. But you have also today in front of you different models, reasoning models. And reasoning models are different setup. They are great for helping you analyzing things, analyzing data, providing you with a plan, a business plan. You want to solve a problem. You're going to interact with a kind of working partner that is far more clever than the traditional model. And you would say, am I paying for this? Yes, actually, in your subscription today, if you're in Copilot or ChatGPT, you have the ability to select not just the auto mode, where Copilot decides, depending on the complexity of your question, decides towards which model to dispatch the question, but you can force the machine to select the best model in town. So you can select today a think deeper model from Copilot, or you can even select the ChatGPT 5.5 Think Deeper, which is the most advanced reasoning model today, in a secured Microsoft environment. So this will bring you much better, much deeper analysis and better answers. But most of the people do not know that. Same goes on ChatGPT. You can select the thinking model, and is it a standard or an extended thinking? So, of course, you're not going to use this model to ask how to cook a pizza margherita tonight. That will be a suicide ecologically. But, of course, you will get far better answers from this. The beauty of the evolution of those models is that it's not just for working data analysis and solving problems. Those reasoning models have also evolved into image and video generation. And that's a big change in the communication, for the communication world. The reasoning models are extending. So you don't need a specific prompt for those who might have discovered Midjourney 2 years ago. You had to develop a prompt that normally a photographer could pull out, and that was a very complex thing to get a very great image. This time is totally over. Now you can just, with your colleagues, decide on the LinkedIn content strategy plan during lunch break. You take a picture of this and you say, I want you to convert this into a corporate slide. Or I want to convert this in corporate slide by respecting the colors of my company and that are in image B. And you get this in 5 seconds, of course. Same goes. Well, you want to have an internal communication report and you want to include an image. Well, you just sketch what you have in mind, even if you're not a good drawer. You say, take this, transform this into an ad or something for Speedster Energy, and you get this. And again, not in 20 minutes, but in 5 seconds. And I'm not good at photoshopping, but sometimes I need to communicate about myself. This is a real picture of me. This is with the new reasoning models. This is me with my friend, the bear. And I just had to say, I changed the image and put the bear next to me, to the person crossing his arms with exactly the same attitude. It must be a friendly brown bear, and the image must be in 16 by 9. And I get this. So that's the revolution, I would say, in the communication world, because as long as you have an idea, you want to communicate something, you can pretty easily start having a lot of material for you. And same goes for infographics. If you want to communicate you have a file with very complex information and you want to simplify them for your audience, well, you can actually just prompt, I want to generate an infographics about this, and you will get in a couple of seconds these information. The reasoning model will think about the theory behind, and it will organize in a pretty structured way with the correct wording, and this is pretty helpful for any kind of piece of communication or briefing that you want to pull out. So what's next? Well, the reasoning models are, and this is the new image generators models behind the ChatGPT, will be available on Copilot very soon. So if I have the intention to generate an image on how to lace shoes, I just have to say that. I don't need to explain that I want a basket, a sneakers, a white one, and how to make the shoe. No, the model, because it's a reasoning model, will figure out in its data set, it will find out which kind of information are relevant, and then will pull out the prompt for me, and then will deliver the image for me. So that's the revolution, because now it can be scientifically driven, it can understand cultural context, and it can understand historical also facts. So that's a real revolution, and let's take a look at this new model.
ImageGen 2.0 is the smartest image generation model ever built, with the ability to generate complex, polished, and production-ready visuals with accurate text and structured design. You see, this model isn't just generating images, it's thinking.
That's right. ImageGen 2.0 is thinking and researching, and it can even search the web to generate images with the most accurate information available.
And with that information, the model is able to generate infographics that explain complex systems and images that solve math problems with proofs.
And with new multilingual capabilities, you can create visuals with multiple languages for the entire world.
And now, for the first time in image generation, you can create multiple distinct images at once. So you can generate entire magazines with structured typography and photorealistic photos, full renovation plans for every room in your house, or manga comics with recurring characters and evolving storylines.
And you can now generate images with 2K resolution across multiple aspect ratios with extraordinary micro details.
You might have seen that in this movie, there were some mathematical problems resolved in notebooks. The prompt was giving the mathematical problem and asking, can you resolve it? And it should be, the answer should be put in a notebook, handwritten with a pen. So the reasoning model can figure out how to solve this mathematical problem. And the same goes with videos, and that's going to change tremendously. Well, for the fact-checking, for the deepfakes, but this is another universe. And previously, with my former the former speaker, we're talking about how to distinguish the things. This will become more and more difficult for tools to detect what's true and what's not true. I think the future will be about watermarking and some marks that are invisible, but where you will have an app that will testify if this image or this video was generated by AI or not. And this is the future also about news companies, to testify that this was a generated AI, but by the BBC. So it's not a fake one. So what's coming next in the videos? And this is truly a game changer, because it's respecting the physics. It has the understanding of the physics. It has knowledge of history, science, cultural context before making videos. What you will see is a compilation. This guy has just prompted very simple things, but the realism is pretty stunning. So even my mother, turning 77 years old, could produce that kind of movie. It doesn't require any prompting skills at all. It just requires your imagination, creativity, and that might be a good thing, but also a scary thing for deepfakes.
Today I'm in London showing you just how powerful AI video editing has truly gotten. For example, if I snapped my fingers, we could make a giant wave come out of the river and make a gigantic splash on top of my head. Now for this next trick, if we take this van here, I could snap my fingers and it can rise up into the air and then come all the way back down again in zero gravity. Now check this out. If I snap my fingers again, we can have this bridge turn into glass, so you can see everything beneath my feet. And for my last trick, if we're outside this iconic location, I can snap my fingers and change into any outfit that we could possibly dream of. Google on the...
There's no limitation to creativity anymore. What you have in head, you can nearly see automatically what it's bringing. The downside of that is that your organizations are not just competing on social network with dancing cats and dancing TikTokers, because all of us will be capable of producing things that are of a very good qualitative level. So the challenge will be about the quality of your content strategically, but also the relevance of the content in front of your audience. Because everybody can produce good-looking things, but is it valid? Is it interesting enough? Is it standing out of the crowd content-wise, not just eye candy-wise? So this is an evolution or a revolution, because there will be a booming, we will be facing an explosion of content and the volume of content. The pace of the production of content will accelerate from individuals, but also companies, from media companies too. So how do we keep with that pace? Do we follow the trend? Do we produce more and more with automated agents capable of finding out information, grabbing these things and generating images, videos, and articles for you and posting on blogs and social networks? That's already the case. But let's think about the audience. What will they do with this overwhelming volume of content? How do you stand out from the noise? So this variation of models with reasoning models is a true evolution. What is definitely a game changer in your way of interacting with AI is working with a more agentic assistant. Agentic functionalities means that your AI assistant, ChatGPT Copilot, is not just an AI that gives you answers and that is connected to its data set. This is also now connected to a lot of tools. And the first range of tools that it's connected with, it's, well, your account, your calendar, your inbox, your Microsoft Teams, your SharePoint, and it can find context of what you were discussing, what you're doing, and it will bring you some answers taking into account that context. But not only that, because now you can connect most of those AI assistants to your Booking.com, to your Figma, to your Photoshop account, to whatever you want. And through this connection, this is through the lens of your Copilot or ChatGPT that you will control other external tools. And that's the agentic layer. Your assistant will become your concierge. You will speak with your assistant, and your assistant will then master and control other external tools to deliver what you intended to have as a result. And that's a game changer. So for instance, well, if you are on ChatGPT, you will have company knowledge covering your Google Drive, Google Calendar, etc. But as I said, not only. So basically, what I'm doing with my AI assistant, I can ask, can you prepare me for my next meeting? Give me the context, the agenda of the meeting, the recent project updates, any link to the most relevant files that are in my SharePoint and that I should review. So what does my AI agentic assistant does? It will search for my next meeting in my calendar. With whom? With who? And what is the subject? It will take a look at any kind of email related to that meeting. It will also take a look in my Teams chats with the people that I'm going to meet. And it will then contextualize everything and find out that there might be a file on OneDrive that has been updated, and it would be worth for me checking before attending the meeting. So that's a real assistant. This is not just the machine providing me with answers to my prompt. This is an organizer. And you can do, well, that's every Friday. Review my emails from the past 7 days. Consider only emails that I have not responded to. For each email, you will give me a short summary, and then you will rate the importance of this email. And I've pulled out different criteria. 5 is critical. It requires my action within 24 hours. 4 is very high, requires my action within this week, etc. So recommend specific follow-up actions, and if the rating is above 3, then I would like you to craft an answer for me, taking into account the whole context that my assistant has. So that's already great, and I think, and I see this, it's pretty underused currently in most of organizations and companies, although if you have access to Copilot Pro or agentic ChatGPT or Claude. But what's going to be the real revolution is the top of the pyramid, the AI operating systems. This is 2026 revolution. This is not just about an agent facilitating your job or answering you questions, pulling out things for your meetings. This is the computer. It means that you have an assistant that is connected with your computer, your data, and all the tools that your computer has. So this is what Claude launched, and this is why Claude is so successful. They've launched Claude Code, but also Claude Cowork. And Claude Cowork is an additional coworker in your organization. You can ask to perform different things. What it will do, it will find out how to do it. And this is coming on Mistral work. It's coming on Copilot Cowork too. This will become standard. So you will always have the pleasure to work with the chatbot of your AI assistant, but you can also set up the coworker that you want to work with. And the coworker and the anatomy of an AI operating system is about connectors, the bridge between your cowork and other systems. What kind of other tools can it control for me? What kind of skills do I want my coworker to have? I will predefine or select skills. Skills in copywriting, respecting the tone of voice. Skills in creating presentations. Skills in analyzing. Skills in searching for information. Skills in fact-checking things. All the skills that you would like to have your team to be equipped. You can predefine this, and these AI operating systems will use in the skills library the ad hoc skill to perform the task that you are asking. And the plugin, well, that's the bundle. It will define which connector and which skill to use. So that's a game changer, because what you can do today, you can simply give an intention to the machine. I would like to develop a 5-page document about a topic. And then I would like you to share with my colleagues, ask them a couple of questions. Based on their feedback, I would like you to update this document. That's simply an intention. You don't have to prompt anything. You give the intention, the AI co-worker operating system is going to figure out how to orchestrate, segregate the different tasks in workflow, which tools should be used to perform what it has been required to do, connecting to the correct files and data on my computer or my environment, activate the specific skills, and then executing across steps. And this execution might last, well, 10 minutes to a couple of hours, or even a couple of days. And that's a game changer, because this is not about having an AI that is an assistant where you're asking a question and you stay the executor for the next step. So if you say, what are the key EU AI deadlines? Can you remind me of that? Great, the chatbot will give you the answer. Now, what you could do is to say to the AI operating system, draft a press briefing on the EU AI Act. Use our style tone of voice guidelines. It should be ready for Friday, include also infographics, send an executive summary by Teams to the PA department. And it will execute, asking you for permission, asking you if you're OK with what it has pulled down, and then it will execute the whole thing. Another example, let's say that on Friday, your president is on BBC, or tomorrow morning is on BBC for a very sensitive topic. You could prepare this with Copilot or ChatGPT. You could say, can you summarize the 5 points of controversy on this file? And you provide the machine with the files. And you will get an answer. You can prepare yourself, but you have a lot of work to do. Here, you could say, prepare our president for tomorrow's BBC interview on this file. Pull our position paper from SharePoint, the last 3 public statements, and the top 5 press criticism from the past 6 months. Deliver a 2-page briefing, a Q&A of 15 tough questions, 3 key messages, but also a tactical memo on traps to avoid. It should be ready by Sunday, 8 p.m. This is not the future. This is happening now. And this is a real revolution in our way of working. A last example, I'm preparing for the climate bill debate. I need you to, and this is again not prompting, this is me like working with a real expert where I'm briefing and giving my intention. Find me 30 MEPs who have spoken about climate policy in the last year, include their committee membership and recent votes. Then you will check their social media and public statements for their position on carbon pricing. For each stakeholder, you will score their influence on 1 to 10, based on committee role, media presence, and alignment with key blocks. And I want you to identify potential allies, but also opponents. Then export everything into a structured spreadsheet. Then, for the top 5 priority stakeholders, you will draft personalized briefing notes, referencing their specific concerns from the recent statement. And you will include, include 3 questions to ask them. So that's the full range. Again, your brain will start, your job doesn't stop here with the result. Your job starts, but from a richer base. You haven't spent time or lost time searching. You're going to be critic about what the machine brings you, but you're going to work with your brain on the next step and think deeper. So to be very concrete, a couple of examples on how to deal with this. This is an example in marketing. This guy has absolutely no clue about marketing. He wanted to launch a new brand, a water can. So he asked Claude Coworker, again, this is Claude, but this could be another AI operating system, to develop everything from the logo, from the website, from the SEO strategy, from the blog text, etc. Let's take a look.
I just want to show you one example with Claude Cowork that I found super impressive. I basically asked it to create an entire marketing campaign for launching a product. And I mean an entire marketing campaign, which has a lot of different pieces. So this went to work here, and after a little bit, it created all kinds of different files, and you could see that over here, all these different files were created. And it created that inside of this empty folder I created on my desktop. So just to show you, it created brand guidelines for me, which was a text document on how this brand should look. Then it created competitive analysis for me. It created different images and things I could post online. It created an entire ad and SEO strategy. It wrote entire ready-to-post blog post in PDF format. It has an entire email campaign here for us. It even created an entire landing page for what this website could look like. A really nice looking slideshow. So all that was created literally by a single prompt. That is Claude Cowork. It is no longer something you chat with. It's something you give a task to.
Something you give a task to, not just chatting. So if you say, we would like to launch a new fitness e-commerce brand, I want you to search Nielsen industry section for e-commerce fitness reports, then you will analyze the growth over the past 5 years, then you will create a business launch plan for me, and so it will pull out the whole thing. Is it good enough? Certainly not. Is it saving you time, and can you achieve more things in less time? Certainly yes. Another example, because this doesn't stop into searching, finding results, and pulling out a report. I think the future, and our future, will be about developing solutions, apps, websites that are solving specific tasks. So this is not about coding. This is about, again, an intention. I'll show you this guy. So with those coworker AI operating system, you could say, I would like to have an application that can, from a PDF of an article, I would like this to fact check with different sources and tell me if, giving me a percentage of accuracy or not. You could develop this with Cowork on your own. This guy has developed a tool for improving the way he's doing his videos on YouTube and referencing them. Let's take a look. He's a bit sleepy.
I just built a fully automated social media video factory in like half a day. Here's how it works. I just vibe coded this with Anthropic's new Fable model that just got re-released after it was censored for being too good. I prompted it to build me this custom dashboard where I click new short and I give it a URL to an article, paste in raw text, upload a file, or add notes on the angle that I want. Then I can choose the target length and pick the AI model I want to write the script. From there, it generates the full short form script. It also fact checks to make sure I'm not saying anything inaccurate. I can give it feedback, have it rewrite or optimize the script, see the formula it used to create it, export it as a doc, and share it with people. And it even built this cool teleprompter for easy recording. It even generates B-roll for me. It'll create matching video clips, tell me where each one should go, and here I can download all of them at once. All I have to do is record the A-roll, drop the generated B-roll on top, and I have most of the short already produced. And my favorite feature, which is what makes this really next level, is that it watches my Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts to see which ones performed best, and it uses that data to keep improving future scripts based on what's actually working in real life. But before you leave, this is very important. If you plan on using Fable, you only have...
So that's about how you can develop solutions for you. The future, because this is happening today, it looks easy to build up something, but the future of these AI operating systems will be about achieving more complex tasks. In 2024, this is a research, in 2024, the most advanced reasoning model could achieve, with a minimum of 50% of success rate, tasks that will take 6 minutes for a human to perform. In 2026, those systems can achieve tasks that will take 10 hours for a human to perform. The future will be, with this exponential explosion, 2027, between 2027 and 2029, those models will be capable of achieving things that will take a week long for humans to do. And that's a profound change in the way we organize our work. I'll come back to that in a couple of seconds. Is it going to replace all of us? Of course not. But strategically, we'll have to think about the split between what humans do and what agents do. And how do we recreate value by gaining time? And I think that's a clear game changer. Now, the other side of the story, if I may, is about there's a real war, there's a real competition. And it looks, well, fantastic. We have choices every month or every week even. There are new models coming into town, and it's difficult to choose between the Chinese ones and the American ones. Unfortunately, there's only one, not only one, but very serious contender, European contender called Mistral. But we have to first, and it raises 3 questions for me. It's great to benefit from all those tools that can enhance our way of working. But there's a consequence in our choices of technology. And the consequence might not be just for yourself or for your company and just the data protection of your company, but there will be, or there might be, a higher risk, a macroeconomical risk for Europe in the 2 or 3 coming years. I'll cover that. First, about the future of work. How do we protect workers from being quietly replaced? And this is also part of a strategic thinking. This is not just about agents doing the jobs of people. This is the collaboration between the people and the workers. Phase 1, this is plainly where we are. You are all working and being a bit augmented with a co-pilot, an AI assistant, a chatbot. Okay, asking questions, translating things, analyzing things, great. But we are now entering in phase 2, where we're going to have hybrid teams in any kind of organization. Humans working with agents. Agents having been set up to perform specific things complementary to what the humans do. And the phase 3 might be in 10 years, 15 years' time. We'll live in a society where, well, basically, theoretically, a lot of companies could produce and generate profit with a really little intervention from humans, where there might be an AI tax to pay or rent, and will be in a more relaxed way of living. I don't go to that far. What I'm interested in, this is the same theory from Stanford University. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. More and more independency from those AI operating systems. It raises another question about work and about the future of, well, our children and the young students. You might know that the unemployment rate in the States for the young graduates is getting higher and higher for the last 2 years. Why? Because they have a hard time to enter into companies, because those big companies have self-equipped with AI operating systems and agents performing things that normally a junior would be asked to do. So that also raises questions about not just our future, seniors, but also juniors. Second thing, about data sovereignty, and it's more than theory. We all have the tendency to choose the best model in town, and of course, Claude is changing the game. It's better today than ChatGPT. They are trying to catch up, Copilot and ChatGPT, and again, this is fantastic if you're choosing the best, but choosing European might also be a good approach, because the data sovereignty working with American software solutions is not secured. Even if they claim that the servers are on European territory for GDPR compliances, this is actually bullshit, because the Cloud Act is now enabling the US government, the FBI, to search or to get some information passing through the servers of any US company using servers, even if the servers are outside the US territory. And that's a big change, because even Microsoft, and last year, in June, the legal director of Microsoft France was asked by the Senate Commission in France about how secure the data of the French citizens was protected if they were using Microsoft operating system and Microsoft Suite. And clearly, he said, I cannot guarantee. Under the Cloud Act from the US, Microsoft would be actually legally compelled, obliged to comply with a US order to understand, to get some information. And that's a big challenge. So actually, we have developed, and the AI Act is great, we have developed a kind of vault that's protecting the citizens. But with the Cloud Act, the Americans have the key to enter and get any kind of data in our vault. So they can compel disclosure, even if the servers are on European territory. They can also imply a gag or a secrecy order, so the company will be provided to inform its clients that there was a request to get the information on the servers. That's even worse. And currently, this is no man's land. There's no agreement to arbitrate this kind of conflict. So we're in deep shit. So what's happening, and for very let's say, delicate situations, Ministry of Defenses and the National Guard, or there's a switch. There's a kind of a migration happening in a couple of administrations currently in Europe. The migration from a Microsoft operating system towards a Linux operating systems, forgetting about PowerPoint and Word, and choosing open sources, European solutions. And I guess that this will be reinforced in the coming years. Shouldn't we consider Mistral for the EU Commission and all the people working here as the only player and the only AI system that we should choose? By the way, Mistral has also an AI co-work and an AI operating system. So everything that I've shown today, you could develop it with Mistral. And I'm not paid by Mistral, by the way, but the CEO of Mistral said also a couple of months ago that it has not just an impact on data sovereignty, it has also an impact on macroeconomic level. Most of the companies in the future will invest up to 10 to 15% of the salary amount into tokens, meaning co-workers, AI operating system, performing different tasks. 10 to 15%. Meaning that at European level, this is 1 trillion that could leave Europe, not to reinvest and reinject in European workforces labor, but reinject into AI American solutions. And this is the collapsing of our economy, because we're not reinjecting this money, and we're going to replace a couple of people by a couple of tokens coming from the US. That's another challenge. This is not just about data security. This is even more worse. And definitely we should be aware of that, and we should talk about that. But the media are silencing this. I don't see a lot of talk about that. So this is, that's a real threat for me. And the second thing, and the last point I want to make, is also the debate or the war will not be about who has the best AI in town. The war will be about electricity, because those AI players are actually producing or transforming electricity into tokens. What will be the cost of electricity on the in Europe? And currently, EDF is with those big players who have giant hyperscalers who have giant servers in Europe and in the States are dealing with EDF and other electricity supplier for the next 10 years, consolidating enough resources of electricity. This means that if we push on the accelerator to develop more and more Mistral-like and AI-like and bigger server in Europe, how are we going to feed those servers with our electricity if we have engaged into, well, providing AI, US-based AI with this? So that's the challenge. A lot of things. I hope that I could raise a bit of enthusiasm about these AI operating systems helping you in your everyday, but also raising a couple of key strategic questions that are not just about data sovereignty, but also the future of our economic model. Thank you. Please, shoot. There's someone behind. I'll come back to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I will, as we have very good interpreters, I will speak in French, so you can put your headset. Merci beaucoup pour cette présentation.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I'm Christophe Lefebvre, the workers group of the European Economic and Social Committee. Our concern is that AI will contribute to decreasing the number of jobs. You have already described the emerging situation with some companies. I work for a private company, and my company has announced that it is the manager that has to authorize subscriptions or obtaining licenses in order to use some of these tools. This is the current situation. Let me make another comment. We were invited to attend a European conference on various topics. Quite a few issues were raised. All the participants were using AI. At the end of the day, the 5 speakers shared the same arguments. I'm telling you this as I think that we need creative thinking and a creative approach on all these issues. Let me also approach Revolut or address Revolut and say that Revolut is sometimes used for fraud and scam. They use robots explaining to me that in order to submit the alarm, I need a Revolut profile. However, I'm not their client. At the end of the day, I didn't solve the issue. I'm telling you this to show that we have some limitations.
The companies are, well, hesitating for the cost and not providing, or that's the first point, sorry, not providing all the employees with a Copilot Pro, for instance. And so they are stuck. They cannot have an AI assistant helping to manage the agenda. But coworker will be even worse. Because you will pay, today you pay a subscription, 25 euros for Copilot Pro. But the coworker will be an additional envelope. You will buy an envelope of tokens to deliver specific outputs, presentations, videos, anything. So these will have an impact on the P&L. This requires to have a strategic thinking. It's not just a tool that you just give a license to. It's how do we reorganize the work? And by the way, the replacement is not really happening. In a couple of technical fields, yes, coders have a hard time to figure out how to find a job. But today, people on natural leave are not replaced. There's a kind of hiring freeze in a lot of companies. But the co-workers are building up or reinforcing the teams. What does that mean for the future? Well, less people, less employment. So that's a big question. I don't have the answer. Second point, about the standardization. The only value that you can create is by using your brain with AI. And I say this to my students and to anybody. If you're just satisfied with the result of AI, then this will be standard. Your neighbor could just prompt the same way and push on the button and will have nearly the same result. If you're starting interacting, this is where you're going to create value. This is where you're going to think, criticize, manage your coworker. Every kind of people in the coming companies, even if you're a junior, you will be a manager of a couple of agents working for you. So you need to take the helicopter view. You need to take a bit of distance with what the machine has produced, and you need to coordinate. And that's the critical thinking that will make the distinction between the average people and the very good people performing in any kind of companies. Yeah. And for the third point, that was a more philosophical one, if I may, yeah. Yes.
This is working. Thank you. Thank you for a fascinating presentation. I think if you put together the two presentations, the first one and then yours, and sort of mix it into what we were talking yesterday as well, I keep thinking about trust. I keep thinking about critical thinking. And I keep thinking about how we're going to be sourcing information, because you say critical thinking will be very important for how we will perform tasks. But I'm afraid that what you just showed us will basically impede critical thinking, because we're going to prompt something and then we're going to get a result. And we're going to come to the conclusion that that is the best possible result that you could think of. It's a bit like with Google Maps and with our sense of direction. Because of the fact that we're using Google Maps, we've stopped having any, I mean, at least me, maybe somebody here hasn't, but we stop, figuring out how to get anywhere, because basically the computer does it for us. So I have this strong feeling, this is not really a question, maybe a rhetoric question, that there's a huge problem between the tasks that will be performed by the agents and the mechanisms and technologies you're talking about, and our ability to think critically. That's one thing. And my second question is, what comes next? Because you're talking about a reality in which we're going to be setting tasks, and different agents or technologies will be performing these tasks. My question is, when do we get to a reality, and how soon do we get to reality when it's the technology that will be setting and giving us tasks? Because at the end of the day, if the computer is smarter than us, and I guess it is, then it's going to tell us what to do. It's not going to be asking for prompts. It's going to start prompting us to do the work, to get things done. And I think that's the next phase. And do you think we're getting there anytime soon?
Thank you for those two questions. First question, trust, or we will put our brain on standby, and there are a lot of studies and research showing that people are tending to not think anymore. I will say that it's up to you. And this is about an attitude. I've never been intellectually as stimulated as today working with AI than before, but this is my choice. because I'm starting thinking from a richer base. I don't spend time Googling things, and then when I'm bored, I start thinking. No, I start thinking with much more information. And I can criticize, and I can iterate with my assistant. But a lot of people are just satisfied with they pushing a button. And this is what I'm telling also to my students. I don't care, use AI. I don't care if it's totally written by AI. As long as you've been thinking with AI, and I would like you to give me a copy of your prompts, because that's testifying how you were thinking collaboratively with the machine. And the best solutions in science, in the medical sector, in defense, will come from the unification of those two brains. So that's for sure. But a lot of people will take the shortcut and will be satisfied. No future. The second point, I have to recall the second point. Oh, automation, yes, getting feedback. But actually, this is already happening. If you're working at Amazon, you know, the distribution of the packs is decided by an algorithm. So the people go and each morning, and they know what to do, and the machine has told them how to organize this. So I think this, for me, we're more talking about the collective intelligence. For in some cases, relying extremely on the analysis capacity of the AI and analyzing tons of things. So we're starting from a richer base, but we'll need to be very critic about what it's producing, because the hallucination rate is still there. By the way, whatever AI that you're using today, it still hallucinates between 2 to 24% of hallucination potential by answer. So that's pretty huge. So definitely, yes, I can be invited to do things, but without my brain, I don't know where we're facing a lot of problems in companies. Yes. We have to terminate. I'm happy to meet you later on. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Thank you for this lecture. I saw that there were some other people that wanted to ask questions. So colleagues, please use this coffee break to ask David questions or to talk to some issues that you are really interested in. So coffee is served outside. Enjoy it, and please be back in 20 minutes. Thank you so much. You will return to this room. I hope you can hear me there and that you are finishing your coffee. So, after the exodus from X or Twitter, following Elon Musk's takeover, many professionals turned to LinkedIn for their daily dose of networking and news. But as user-friendly as it may seem, a successful LinkedIn presence cannot be built overnight. It requires good content, but also effort, dedication, and wisdom, as algorithms, as we all know, work in mysterious ways. Our trainer, Laura Kern, will share 11 steps to become a go-to person in your field on LinkedIn. Laura is a strategic communication expert who led the digital communication for former Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker's campaign. She is now the CEO of ThinkRoom, a strategic communications consultancy that helps organizations and individuals find their unique DNA and authentic voice in a world run by algorithms. Please welcome our next speaker. The floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, it's still morning. Thank you for having me as your last session of these 2 days. This is not going to be a speech. I don't like speeches. I don't believe that you learn through listening. So it's going to be interactive, and therefore I would like to ask you to join in using this QR code. I'm using a tool called AHA Slides. It's like Mentimeter, but better, and to be honest, also cheaper. So that's always good, right? So go in and use the QR code, or go to ahaslides.com and use the code EQ12G. ahaslides.com EQ12G, or just simply use the QR code on your phone. I have to move to the left, people are saying, but it's also on both sides of this room on the screen if you can't see it. Sorry, yes, I was in front of the QR code. Very bad user experience for you there. Here's the QR code if you want to join. I will also make sure it appears on all of the slides. And to test if you were able to log in, I have to start with a very big question, because the one word that always comes up when I talk about LinkedIn is cringe. So I'd like to, just to get a feel of the room, I would like to ask you, do you think that LinkedIn is cringe? So, I don't understand why. Do you see, do you see the answers on your screen? Okay, so please vote absolutely, a little bit, or no. And let me know if you think LinkedIn is cringe or not. I don't understand why they're not displaying on the page, but we'll hopefully see your answers appearing. Might be slight internet issue. No, weird. I see 46 of you are logged into, 47 are logged into the screen. I don't see the votes coming in. Weird. Do you see the votes on your screen? So tell me, do you think LinkedIn is cringe? Sorry? A little bit. We still think it's a little bit cringe. That's funny, because even the New York Times thinks that we are now in LinkedIn's post-cringe era. And something that it quotes in its article says that it's really, really hard to attract people when you sound like a corporate drone. So you might still think of LinkedIn as a platform where people, say, oh, I found a new job and I really loved my old job, even though they were secretly fired, right? And you might still think of a place where you just talk about the fact that you're looking for jobs and it's all reposting your organization. But in the meantime, LinkedIn has reformed to a really fun, professional channel. And so we have entered the post-cringe stage of LinkedIn. How fun. So again, I cannot see, so I'm going to need your help. But which of these social media platforms do you use the most? Is it, and I'm going by memory here, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and there's another one. Please vote and let me know which ones of these social media platforms you use the most. I think I have an internet connection problem. And what was the outcome of my experiment here? I am gathering that is LinkedIn you use the most. Am I right? No? You don't have the answer either. I'm sorry, but there is no internet in this room at the moment, so that's why these things are not working. We're trying to have this problem fixed. In the meantime, I also want to tell you that LinkedIn is the number 2 source for large language models. We spoke about AI systems before. We spoke about AI this morning. But where does AI get their information from? The number 1 source is Reddit. The number 2 source is LinkedIn. And for professional queries, it gets its information from LinkedIn. So that means that it's a very important place for you to put information on if you want your point of view to come across in the answers for professional information. I don't think it's still, I don't really know how to solve this at the internet. Excuse me? It's not working. Yeah, we can go ahead. Oh, everyone's voted already. That's interesting. You've done the whole presentation already. OK, LinkedIn is a little bit cringe. 10 people think it's absolutely cringe. Cool. I told you it's not cringe. So 19 of you think that you say that you use the LinkedIn. It's working again. Let's hope it stays this way, guys, and we get back on track. So 19 of you say LinkedIn is a platform you use the most. Of course, it also depends per country. There are countries that LinkedIn is not used as much, but most of professional world is now using LinkedIn. And as you can see, X, formerly known as Twitter, really went down after the Musk takeover. I also asked you, and I see if you haven't voted yet, please do so now. How often are you on LinkedIn? Are you there every year, every quarter, every month, every week, every day, or even multiple times a day? That's not talking about what you do on LinkedIn, if you're just there to absorb information, or if you are there to also post. Just how often do you go and check things out? I see that most of you are there every week, and some of you, 8 of you, are even there every day, checking things out, potentially posting. So it is, even for this group, an important platform. Now, you may not know that LinkedIn was launched in 2003, a year before Facebook. It's one of the earliest social media platforms that still exists today. And is it even a social media platform, or is it something else altogether? And it wasn't looking so sexy. I don't know if it's looking very sexy today, but it's still going strong. And this is what I told you before, that it's the #1 most cited source in AI search, and #1 for professional queries. Now, let's go back to why you're here today. How do you get more traction? And for that purpose, I want to tell you a story. 365 days ago, a year ago, I wanted to get more traction on my own LinkedIn, because I had just opened my own company, the Think Room, and I thought LinkedIn is going to be the way to success. This is going to be the way. It was my second company, and I thought LinkedIn is going to be the way that I get clients, that I get assignments, that I get workshops. And so I started to post on LinkedIn, but my post had very little traction. I posted about everything that the Think Room could do, that I could do. I have 25 years of experience, so you can imagine that I posted about a lot of different things, from business development to AI. AI was very hot back then. Oh, it's still very hot today. Digital communication, internal communication, generative engine optimization, how to make yourself visible in AI systems, strategy, a lot of different things. Some of these posts got some good traction, other posts got no traction at all. I begged my friends, please leave a comment, because I saw that that would work. But there was no real life impact. Nobody would call me for projects. Nobody would ask me to give a workshop. Nobody would give me, there was no real life impact as a result of my post. I was posting frantically because I'm always a believer of, okay, if you just try hard enough, if you're just consistent, things will work. But this was the AI age. There was a tsunami of content. So what worked a couple of years ago, just consistency, didn't work anymore. So I thought, okay, you've done this for so many clients. Take a step back and ask yourself the hard questions instead of just randomly posting. And those questions are, what makes you different? What is the one thing that you should go deep about? What is the thing that people always come to you for? What makes you different than other people? And I kept going deeper and deeper. I also looked at things that I'd written before, words that I loved, words that I hated, authors that I admired, people's LinkedIn profiles that I thought, okay, that's really good, and that goes really far. And I turned it into a DNA key. That's a product that I now create for a lot of clients. And it's like a 40-page document. But the main thing was that it made me realize what it is that I want to bring to LinkedIn and what my mission was. And my mission is to help people see what makes them fantastic, what makes them unique. Each and every one of you in this room is unique, right? You might not always see it, you might not always feel it, you might be insecure, you might not know what you want to post about on LinkedIn, but you're all different. So if you use AI, you're just going to sound like everybody else, unless you do a couple of other things first. So I wanted to find out what makes people and organizations different and then help express that in a way that only they can, so that they stay visible, credible, and human in an age of algorithms. And from then on, LinkedIn became so easy. So what changed? In essence, 3 things. First of all, it became clear what I was adding to the linkosphere. I found my niche. You know, you will hear a lot about that if you're trying to get better at LinkedIn. Secondly, I started to tell a coherent story all throughout my LinkedIn profile, from my banner to my headline to my about section, my profile post. More about that in a second. And I started to create repeated, valuable content that people could use. Because what has really changed about LinkedIn is that it doesn't matter anymore how many followers you have. What matters is if LinkedIn and people consider you a topical expert in your field. So that's what you need to bring across. And if you talk about absolutely everything that you know, and I know all of you have such a broad expertise, then it's very difficult for LinkedIn to do that. So that's good news if you're a starting account. If you have a couple of hundred or a couple of thousand people on LinkedIn, it doesn't matter. Your post can get more traction than someone with 20, 30, 40,000 followers. Because LinkedIn is constantly profiling us, deciding where it should place us, whom it should show us to. So no, it's that. I can continue talking if you don't need the slides, because I know this stuff by heart. This is my life. LinkedIn, by the way, 8 years ago, I was presenting an award, and I was saying how much I thought LinkedIn was cringe. So these words came back to haunt me, because now I love it. Should I refresh?
I did. I already did. It's not showing. It should be working. There's internet.
I've never had this before. All right, so you need a clear niche. You need to explain to people what it is that you're bringing to LinkedIn. So not communication, but identity and visibility in the AI age, in my example. You need to make it obvious, and also where. So I always add Brussels to my post. Does that mean that I only get approached by people in Brussels, or even only shown to people in Brussels? No. But how can I possibly compete with the entire world? There are always other people who do that. So you make it easy for the algorithm what to show you to. And your niche is just a door to your house. You can give him the tour of everything else that you do later. I just don't do LinkedIn. I do a lot of different things. And when people come to me because they see a post on how to better write for LinkedIn, I explain them about our DNA methodology, about the AI visibility that we do. So LinkedIn just needs clarity, and it needs that repetition as well. And everything needs to tell the same story. Now, let's do a very quick audit. I will put the QR code, back. If you think about your LinkedIn at the moment, and I'm assuming you have one, and otherwise the answer will be no, is it clear about your profile what specifically you focus on, whom you're for, and what value you bring? Yes, no, or partially? 5 people say yes, so I'm assuming that they have amazing traction, so congrats. Follow those people and learn. And most people say no, and some people say partially, which is normal. You probably know what you do, but there's still things to optimize, which is what we will be talking about. So your niche, but combined with your own unique voice in your words. For example, you can record your idea and ask an AI to transcribe it so you can find out what the words are that you always use and the expressions, and also write down what you really hate. I hate the word quietly because AI has put that into every single post, so I cannot hear it anymore, for example, is how people get to know you. By the way, if you're one of those people who is always overthinking their own posts, who is, give me a show of hands if you're always thinking, I should do something, I should be on a stage, or I should post, but there's always this inner critic in your head that is holding you back. A lot of you, right? Well, there's some research done on this, and there are actually 4 different people, 4 different voices that are holding you back from posting. The first one is the judge, and it's always criticizing you. That might be a voice from your past, maybe one of your parents that was always negative to you, but now it's your own voice. They say, what if people will laugh at this? What if everyone disagrees? You know, that's that voice. Then you have the protector voice. It says, if I don't post anything, I won't get attention. Then I'm not gonna, better to not take up space. Then you have the police voice or the ringleader, and that is, okay, you're allowed to post, but only once you've taken this course, or only once you've gotten that promotion. So it's always giving you rules so that you're never ready and you don't have to do it yet. And then there's the neglector voice. That's for people, often in communication, who do the communication and the LinkedIn for their SecGen, or for their colleagues, or for somebody else. You're often also a neglector at home. You take care of everybody but yourself. But the problem with this is that in this age of AI, where a lot of people are losing their jobs, your personal brand is what is stable. So if you work on your personal brand and your reputation, that is what's going to make it a lot easier for you to find your next job, right? So recruiters, they use AI systems on LinkedIn to find people that they want to approach. If you're just going to send a letter to your next job, you're in there with thousands of people all using AI. The people are flooded. You're not even going to get a reply for the jobs you're applying to. But if you have a strong profile, recruiters actually come to you. I had a person in internal communication who had no experience, and she was not finding a job. We built up her LinkedIn platform, really good, funny content, and then recruiters started approaching her, and she could choose between 2 jobs purely because of her LinkedIn profile. So don't let your inner voices stop you from posting. Just start posting. What's the worst thing that can happen? Nobody responds. So what? It's all data. It's all information. Step 2, once you've determined your niche and you overcome those voices in your head, is a coherent profile so that you tell a story everywhere. So just to look at my own profile, you have your banner at the top. I have a rotating banner because I pay for LinkedIn, even though LinkedIn should be paying me, to be quite frank. But that's your prime real estate on LinkedIn. Don't put a holiday picture there. Worse, don't leave it blank. Put a message there, like a strong message that explains to people what it is that they can come to you for on LinkedIn. Then the headline. Headline is very important. The first 80 characters of your headline follow you around on LinkedIn. Whenever you post, whenever you leave a comment, people see those 80 characters. If it's something funny, if it's something different, then people might follow you straight from your comments, which is now possible, by the way. So you can just say, I don't know, your job. Well, if you have an amazing job and you rule a country, then maybe yes, but otherwise maybe put a message there. Then your About section. I see a lot of summaries of CVs there. You have your summary of your CV at the bottom of your LinkedIn. This should be either a fun story that tells someone something about yourself, or what you bring to the world, to LinkedIn, what people can expect from you there. Then the feature post. A lot of people don't use them. Those are like pinned posts on Instagram. You can put proof there. You can make it easy for people to book a meeting with you there. You can put, if you have your own coaching business, you can get people to book a coaching session with you there. There's a lot of things you can do, or if you have really well-performing posts or posts that you feel very strongly about, you can put them all in the featured section. And then, of course, your post and your comments. In your comments, comment about your niche. Give your added value. Don't be critical. Don't be mean to people. I had this person who was going around LinkedIn being nasty to everybody else. Yeah, that's not a smart strategy. That's not going to build your reputation, even though you might think you're super clever. But build relationships on LinkedIn. Otherwise, you're just a newspaper from the 30s, just pushing out one way and expecting people to respond. It's not going to work. Build relationships there. And very important point, I see a lot of people complaining about what they see on their feeds, and that's because LinkedIn has gone from showing you what your contacts are posting to what it thinks you might like. So if you post a lot like me about LinkedIn, it will show you all these other people who post about the same things. So I posted something that I thought was really clever. The next morning, I had 4 similar posts, one person from Australia, and I thought, did they all copy me? But some were posted even days before I posted my post. There was LinkedIn showing you other people, and I thought, oh, you probably find this interesting, right? I didn't find it interesting at all. It made me feel really bad, like I wasn't original. But that's what LinkedIn does. So how do you change that? By training your algorithm. Every time you like something, you comment, you save, you forward it, you follow the person. Every time you see something you don't like, you unfollow, you tell LinkedIn, I don't want to see this, I don't want to see posts like this. So you do this for a week, and you will see a whole different feed. That's quite important, because otherwise it's no fun to be there. And why wouldn't you want to do things that are fun? A couple of do's. Everything is content. Don't overthink it. If you were on a panel yesterday and there was this question and you didn't answer it the way you wanted to, and you're in bed, you're like, that's what I should have said. Amazing. Write a post about it. You can either write a post and pretend that that's what you said, probably not a good idea, or say, this is what I should have said, or you can just explain the whole encounter. Everything is content, but only one idea per post. I make this mistake as well. We have so much to say, so you post 5 different things 5 different ideas in one post. Keep it simple and add things that are uniquely you. Because there's so much AI-generated content, people are craving authenticity, however much you might dislike that word. And then step number 3, create content that makes people remember you. So, and one thing. Make them remember you for one thing so that you get those opportunities. Because the goal of LinkedIn is not for you to talk and to just share information, but it's to get people to talk about you. I know for a fact that whenever the topic of LinkedIn comes up in Brussels, the people says, you need to talk to Leora. She can give you, she can create content for you. She can do a workshop for you. And I know also that when that topic comes up on LinkedIn, that people tag me, right? So you want to make sure that you're so closely associated with a topic that people start contacting you, tagging you, approaching you around it. Now, what type of content should you create? And that's actually quite important, because I get a lot of pushback on this, and people say, well, I optimize my whole profile, but then what kind of posts go viral? It's the light, funny posts that get a lot of impressions, a lot of likes, but it's not the deep frameworks that I worked so hard on. True. But 60% of the time, you should create save-worthy content. And 40% the light human content, because the fun posts get you likes and impressions and followers, which is very important because you want to grow your presence. But it's the valuable posts, your frameworks, where you explain things to people, where you are super generous about the things that only you know. And you shouldn't be afraid that other people might steal it, because nobody can steal your unique expertise. And that's going to lead to real-life results. So you really need a combination of the two. And that's what I do. My top-performing posts with 200,000 impressions, and that got me, 200 followers in one go, are the funny posts about LinkedIn, for example. But then the posts that got me multiple new clients in one go were the really valuable infographics with very dense information. Also, a trick, I don't do it very often because every day I have so many ideas in my mind and I want to post new things, but you can look at your analytics and repost your best post with a new hook, for example, or a new visual, if you like. This was a carousel about 9 things I love about working in the Brussels bubble. The original had 22,000 impressions. I reposted it half a year later. It was evergreen content, and it got almost 40,000 impressions. So it's the exact same carousel, and even the same people commented on it again. They didn't even realize they'd seen it before, because people, they don't. So, you can reach a lot of people. You don't always have to come up with new things. You just have to stay within your lane and do similar things, sometimes in different formats, and see what works. Now, one way, very good way to do it, who finds it difficult to come up with ideas about what to post? Just a raise of hands. Most people, yeah, it's quite difficult. It's just to look at your past week and think, what did someone ask me and how did I answer this? Can I extrapolate this and put this on LinkedIn? What is, and I think that's a big one, what do you always notice that other people miss? Where do you have a unique view on things? That's super interesting. What lesson that you've learned the hard way could help someone? And then, how often should you post? I post every day, but it's actually not the best thing for the algorithm right now because it kind of impacts your next post. So 3 to 4 times a week, if you can manage it, if you have something to say, don't post for the sake of posting, of course, is a good rhythm at the moment. There are different theories about it. It's always best to look, for your audience, look at your own statistics. And what is very important is to warm up the feed. So if you have a post and you want to post it between 9 and 11 or in the morning is a good time in most cases, that you start commenting on other people's posts, start DMing them, sending them direct messages, then post your own post, and then afterwards, do the same. And of course, if people comment on your post, reply, make it a conversation. The thing that works the best is conversations around your post. This is a funny thing that I'm trying for the first time. It might be a little bit difficult to see on your phone. That's why you can see it here. But you can pin your favorite type of content on LinkedIn. So is it carousels, infographics, selfie posts, transformations, jobs changes, lessons learned, behind the scenes, industry insights, client wins, or ask and conversations? You can just pin whatever you like the most. And I appreciate you might just want to see a mix, but if you have to choose. I see different pins, it works, I'm glad. Internet's still holding up. Getting a little... Okay, so there's quite a mixed bag. People still like to see job changes, some infographics. Infographics are among the best performing content right now. Why is that? Because dwell time is one of the things that, so how long people stay in your post is a very important indicator for LinkedIn to see if it's going to show it to more people. Now, an infographic is very dense. People are going to look at it longer. So people stay on the post longer. So that's why it works well. With carousels, we see that people often stop midway. And if a post is not watching it in its entirety, LinkedIn is seeing it as a flop and so showing it to less people. That's why carousel at the moment are performing less well. I see a lot of behind the scenes. People like to see that, again, human content, what's happening in this organization. And some industry insights. Very interesting. Lots of things you can do on LinkedIn. Saving, what makes content save-worthy? Again, if you create content that's save-worthy, that means that people are going to remember you. It means that they find your content interesting enough to save for later, which is actually, you should keep in mind when you create content. It's not about what you want to say, but how it's going to help somebody else. And of course, it's thinking about what will help my ideal audience. What are pain points you can solve for them? What are frameworks that you always use that you can share? What are your secrets? Share them. Might sound counterintuitive. And then, try to maybe choose one color. It could be the color of your organization, but you can also choose a personal framework. Your language, your stories, and your frameworks. Don't be afraid to show personality. You're not a corporate clone. Please be human about it. And stop reposting your organization. Why? Because first of all, it doesn't do anything for anybody, not for your organization and not for yourself. Actually, it might impact the success of your next post. It looks like it. And also, repost get barely any impressions. If you look at your impressions, it won't do much for anybody. I had a post that was reposted, I don't know, 60 times, and it had fewer impressions than another post that had 3 reposts, but had a lot of conversation around it. Repost, what happens with reposts, they just sit on somebody else's wall, but nobody sees it. LinkedIn doesn't show your repost to anybody. If you want to help your organization, comment on the post, save the post, forward it to someone who you think should see it, tag that person. That's what's going to help. Stop reposting your organization and start expressing your own point of view. Build your own personal brand. And have some fun with it. I created the LinkedIn board game. Why not? You can do something similar in your space. As my previous speaker said, with AI, you can create so many fun things. The only limitation is your own imagination. And I'm sure you can think of lots of cool things to do. And then use your DNA, what you stand for, how you communicate, who you want in the room, and proof points. Why should people trust you? Explain that as well. What is a very good way to avoid sounding like an AI bot, a corporate clone, I don't know, a press release, is to write to a person. I always start my post with, Dear Anna, and then I write, Love Leora. Now, I remove this before I post, but it makes the whole post flow differently. Dear Anna, it just hit me. This is why people are scared to post on LinkedIn. Sounds very different than 20 reasons why people are afraid to post on LinkedIn. Because right? That's because this was good. I used to post like this, but now with AI, it all sounds like this. So make it feel like you're speaking to an actual person, and then also think about that actual person. I always think about Anna. I think Anna has to like my post, or else there's no point. If you can just write maybe in a few words, what would make you follow something on LinkedIn? Their expertise, if they say interesting things, if you know them. If they're not too serious, and if they have informative but not too serious insights, an approachable character. So they have to show something of who they are, right? If they add value, if you know them, if they have a fascinating career, if you want something from them, okay. Knowledge sharing, sustainable mindset. Yeah, that's the photography and skills. The photograph, yeah, but it's also, LinkedIn has become a little bit Instagrammable, so the photos and the quality of the images does matter. You will see that the exact same post. So if you believe in a post, if you wrote something really good, but it got 0 likes, it might have been the timing. Sometimes my posts go out accidentally in the middle of the night. Now, LinkedIn says it doesn't matter anymore what time you publish, but it really does, because if I post something accidentally at 2 a.m., no engagement. So it can be the timing, but it can also be the visual. There can be really good text posts. They can work because you see more of the text, but sometimes a good Instagram-like visual can really elevate the quality of your post. So do think about this. Nice pictures, someone says. Clear explanations on the things you're interested in. If they write something interesting for me, yeah, expanding my network and reaching out for commercial purposes. The beauty of his face. Showing true self and a sense of humor. Relevant content. Absolutely. So think about this when you're creating your own content. Do all those things that you see here, are you applying them to your own LinkedIn profile? And as I said before, build relationships. And really engage on other people's posts. Because people remember people, and the easiest relationship builder is a useful comment. Now, a question on comments. What type of comments do you think matter? Is it any type of comments? Matter in the terms of impressions on your post. Because we know that if people leave comments on your post, it will help you get more impressions. But what kind of comments are there? Is it any comments, short comments, long, thoughtful comments? AI comments, or comments that spark conversations? What type of comments do most for your posts? So nobody chose AI-generated comments? That's true. LinkedIn is now actually punishing you if you are using AI-generated comments. Not sure how, especially if you use special software to do that. They're really going after that. And the funny thing is that they're using AI to do so. So do we trust their AI to determine if we are human? Interesting. But indeed, it is the comments that spark conversation. The more conversation around the post early on in the life cycle of your post, the more impressions it will get. So comments are king. It's also a very good place to test out an idea. I posted something about Grok. And by the way, the earlier speaker said that there's a bias in AI systems. That's true. The Washington Post said that all AI systems, including Grok, with the exception of Google Overview, are left-leaning. So I had a comment about that. It got 32,000 impressions. And then I turned that comment into a post. And that had another 21,000 impressions. So it's a very good way to see, is this something that people engage with, that people find interesting? And when you want to get a lot of impressions on your post, you can go to a big account of a person you like and comment early on in the life cycle. If you're the 1,000th person who comments on a post, your comment is not going to get a lot of visibility. But if you're there early, you say something interesting around your niche, it's a very good way for you to get followers from that specific post. And also, if you're a bit hesitant to post, commenting is a very good way to dip your toes in the water. And yeah, so keep it really centered around one idea and really pick a side in a comment. That really works. A quick way, if you're a bit hesitant, I'm not saying every single post should look like this, but this can be a good way for you to structure a post if you're unsure what it should look like, a valuable post, a personal hook, a promise, an explanation on why you're talking about this, you know, the proof point, I know this, a message, a short takeaway, and then a call to engagement. So not thoughts. Please don't answer your post with thoughts, or not a very clickbaity answer, but something that's going to spark a reaction. That can be a very good format. Now, at the same time, short posts will work really well, but that's more for the impressions, for the likes. This is when you really want to build your save-worthiness. Now, don't obsess about the success of every single post. You might have a post that does almost nothing. If that's the case, by the way, look at the amount of impressions that it had. If it had a very low amount of impressions, then it didn't have any chance. Then don't worry, then don't be stressed out about it, because it could just be that for some reason LinkedIn didn't show it to anybody. If it had a lot of impressions but a low amount of engagement, then you can analyze. But it's much better to analyze this at the end of the month. If you post only a few times a week, check once a month and try to spot patterns. What is working for your audience? What is not working? What was saved? What was forwarded? What gave you followers? If you have a business, what post led to actual clients contacting you? Do a deep analysis, and this is also where AI comes in very handy. You can download all that data and ask it to give a full bit of research to see what you should do more of, what you should do less of, what tone of voice worked, what kind of hooks. And by the way, AI is also very good at coming up with better hooks. Don't obsess over individual posts. Keep going. Never delete your post. That's actually worse for the algorithm. And why? You did something there. You did something good. If nobody replied, it doesn't matter. Now, what do you think matters most for reach? And this is a trick question. Likes, comments, saves, reposts with comments, reposts without comments, or dwell time? I like the love emoji. So nice. Yes, comments are Very important, but it depends on what type of post it is. There are now 4 types of post. 4 types of post with 4 different lifespans. You have the rocket, and for that, you need a lot of conversation around your post very early on in the life of your post. So you need a lot of conversation, and it's usually around a controversial topic, for example, or something really useful. People start commenting. It goes up really fast. It has a lot of impressions, but it also dies really quickly. But you also have the builder. So it builds up more slowly, but it has a slightly longer lifespan, maybe up to 8 days. And then you also have the grower and the afterburner. For all these things, different things matter. For the grower and the afterbuilder, saves are very important. So you might have a piece of content that nobody comments on, but a lot of people are saving it. And all of a sudden, you see, it looked like it wasn't doing much. You didn't realize how many people were saving it. And then all of a sudden, you see the impressions rising. So if you see a post and it's not doing much, just give it time. Give it time and see what happens, and you may just end up with a post that stays alive for weeks and do really, really well. And keep the objective in mind. You want to be establishing yourself as the go-to person in your field in a specific place, and for that, it's most important that they save your content. So definitely don't only track followers, likes, and impressions, but track real-life results. Do you get invited to conferences, to speak for jobs? Do you get job interviews? Once those things start happening, you know that you're on the right track. So what determines if your posts get tractions? Just to get back to the question that I asked you all, positive signals are saves, repost, if someone sends your post via direct message, dwell time, the more time they spend on it, and if they finish it, that's a completion. And then if people outside your first degree network engage with it. Now, negative signals, I think that should not come as a surprise. If they see your post and just scroll by it, if they don't click on more, if they unfollow you as a result of that post, and if your post was hidden or reported, yeah, not a very good thing. So these are my posts of the last year, and they were saved 6,000 times. And I think that is a major reason why I get contacted for new opportunities all the time. So this is now my #1 goal for my team, to create save-worthy content. Now, I want to spend a little bit of time on your hook, your opening of your post. I think you should spend 20% of your time on a post. It should be a good post, should add value, but 80% of the time on the first line or lines. It's the most important part. This is Ruben Hassid. He has 776,000 followers, and he says, I have this amount of followers because of my hooks. And he gives hook techniques, and he says that AI can help with that. He's an AI specialist. Now, I have a question for you. Which of these 4 hooks that I found on LinkedIn would you click on? 1, yesterday I had the pleasure of attending a conference, opening of a post. 2, our latest newsletter is out, and I'm excited to share it. 3, our new website is officially live. Or 4, when you have a moment, take a listen to our SecGen's current thoughts. To be honest, I hate all 4 of them. Because this is all about you. I launched a website. Our SecGen said this. I'm excited about the newsletter. Take something out. If you build a website because it can do something for your audience, explain that. Start with that. If the SecGen said something important, lead with that. Leave them guessing. Don't give it all away. But this is just like, I'm just like, scroll, lost me. And then there might be something so interesting in what the SecGen said. The website might be fascinating. But I'm already, that you launched a website is not news. It's not interesting, and so it's not a good hook, right? Your colleagues will probably like it. So an image, if you're on LinkedIn, stops the scroll, but only the hook makes them click on more. And that's the entire goal. If they don't click on more, all the effort you put into your post was pointless. They never even saw it. But of course, you have to deliver the post itself. If you have a fantastic hook and then the post is just nonsense, yeah, that's not good for your reputation either. Now, according to this bit of research, hooks in the first person work well. So I did this. This happened to me. Make it very personal, again, because of the AI, tsunami of AI content. Pick one that sounds like you. So this brings me to the recap, and I still have a couple of things. If you want to use LinkedIn as a positioning system, you need to define your DNA, decide what your niche is. You need to adapt your profile, everything from your banner to your headline to your actual comments and posts. You need to create things that people want to save. You need to be consistent and keep a rhythm that you can keep. So don't start with posting 5 times a week to only go back to once a week. That's better to build it up gradually. Mix deep and light content, make it recognizably yours, build relationships, and review your analytics, not every post, but weekly, daily, weekly or monthly or quarterly, depending on how much you post, and create good hooks and visuals. This system has helped me grow my own followers from 3,500 to today 11,000. If you want to follow me, I appreciate it. And more importantly, a very fast-growing business. The Think Room has been a success, and I credit LinkedIn for it completely, and a growing team as well. So your task today, from today, is to be very specific around your niche, align your entire profile, and review what works and do more of it. One other thing that I think is very helpful, and what I do, I have this all year long, but you can do it especially at events like this, is to turn your LinkedIn phone, to use your phone screensaver as your LinkedIn QR code. By the way, if you click this, then you can connect with me as well. But my point is more that if you turn your LinkedIn screensaver as your QR code, you can quickly connect with everybody that you meet at this conference, and be connected with them. So you grow your follower base and your connections quite easily. Now, I want to know what will happen after this session. And to do that, I will click on this spinner. Oh, wait. Okay, after this session, you will stop reposting your organization and start adding some spice to the feed. So that is excellent news. I'm very happy to hear that. Good luck with that. And I'm open for questions. Thank you.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Yep. So thank you very much for the excellent presentation. I have 2 questions. Firstly, could you say about video posts, whether they perform better or worse than normal posts? And then secondly, I've noticed on LinkedIn recently you have sometimes posts from 3 weeks ago appearing, and they seem to be quite common these days. I wonder if you could explain a bit about why that is. Thank you.
Yes, video posts at the moment are still, except for the ones pushed by LinkedIn about LinkedIn, are not performing very well. However, we do expect that to change. I mean, LinkedIn definitely wants it to change. It's trying to be like TikTok and YouTube. So I am experimenting with my clients. I am advising people to start putting videos on the feed. Don't expect them to perform super well. Do simple self-recorded videos, like I'm sure you're very good at, and put them as part of the mix. If you don't post very often, I wouldn't, and unless you were like hyper comfortable on the camera, I wouldn't make that your only format. But LinkedIn is trying to push us towards a video format, but not an AI-generated video format with hyper professional formatted videos, but really human. I'm here and this is what I'm thinking about, a subject type of video. On your second question, you remember the video that I showed you about the 4 types of posts? The afterburner type of post is the reason that you now see really old posts. That's posts that got traction for some reason. It's not super good always at showing you the right things, because sometimes you see Christmas post in February or Valentine's Day's post in March, and you're like, okay, that should be relatively easy for LinkedIn not to show you. But that's because it doesn't look at it from a content perspective. It just looks at the amount of engagement and simple metrics, really. Yeah.
Hello.
In a way, it's good that posts have a longer lifespan, but it doesn't work flawlessly. Yes?
Here. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I just wanted to ask if you had any tips for like the company sites, because now we talked about the personal profiles, and my question would be, is it a smart move to stop posting on company sites, or should you shouldn't repost it from picked up, so should you just maybe shift that from company sites to like a personal account of a chairwoman or stuff like that, and reuse the content there instead of the company site, or do you have any tips for that?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So the company page, as it's called, is very important for 2 reasons. The first reason is that it's the backbone. It's where where people go, also when you have new people joining. So you need to have that as a base layer of content. It's also where large language models, where AI systems find information. They find it just as much as on company pages as on personal pages. And that's because those company pages are often, posts and articles are often very context rich. I have quite a lot of content on my LinkedIn about how to approach the two. So what I currently recommend is that company page you use for context-rich, very detailed information around your area of expertise. They won't get a lot of traction from human beings because they're not very human, but they are quite, you should give a lot of, so don't talk too much about, we had a company party. No, not that. You can do it if you like, for atmosphere. But it's more about, teaching and very well structured with H1 headlines, like a properly structured articles. A weekly newsletter might be a good idea. So that's one reason. And then, of course, the individuals in your company are going to get more traction from human beings, right? So you kind of need them both. Base layer of content for both for human beings and for large language model, and then the human beings inside your company that you then, of course, can repost on the company account as well. And you should really encourage the members, the people who work at your organization, to comment on the post that you post as an organization. Comment, save, forward, engage with. Although one thing that I didn't mention is that engagement pods are now no longer working and sometimes even punished by LinkedIn. So meaning if the same people always comment on a post, LinkedIn will see that as a negative factor. So before, you could have your entire organization comment on an import. If it's just one post, it's fine. But if you do it on every post, if you have all your friends, the same friends, always comment on all your posts, LinkedIn sees that is doctored, and so it doesn't like it as much.
Hi, my name is Julia Neindam. I'm one of the EESC members from Denmark. I have a question for you, because a lot of us from the EESC, we are representing several different organizations. So we have the EESC, the EU, we could post about that. But we also have our home organizations, where a lot of us are like presidents of different organizations, very high up in different organizations. So we have the issue is, we're posting like maybe for 3 or 4 different issues, whatever we're doing back home or whatever we're doing in the EU. Should we have different LinkedIn profiles? Is it okay to represent 3 or 4 different things in your LinkedIn profile?
So this is where you need to, where I would advise you to take a step back and and think about, okay, what I understand is you have different roles, right? You have and say, okay, yes, I have all these roles, but who am I as a person, and what is it that I want to talk about? And then, of course, you do things for this organization, you do this for, but what is the common denominator that, so if you have different roles, you are not your role, right? So I would not talk about, I did this, and I went there, and I went to a conference, because personally, why is someone interested in the fact that, I know that's the translate. No, I heard a voice. I thought it was voices in my mind. So I would focus on what is the common denominator for you between those roles. What is it that you bring? So, for example, one of my clients is managing different associations. And they're all very different. One is accountants. The next one is dairy. I mean, they're completely different. So instead of her posting about accountants and dairy, and she's posting about the unique qualities she brings to all those organizations, and she's sharing, and she's very human in the way she does it. And now her content has transformed from reposting those organizations to bringing her unique perspective on association management to LinkedIn. That's just an example. So I would really think about what is it that makes you. Why are you doing all those different things? What brings it all together? And that can be your added value. That's how I would approach it. No more questions? Still have 3 minutes. I see one question of the gentleman in green.
Hello, thank you for this wonderful presentation. How do you contact people on LinkedIn? What is the etiquette to, send messages, have a feedback, establish a meaningful contact with someone? That's something that we don't talk about often. And I do a lot of contacting and networking on LinkedIn, and obviously that's a huge question. Thank you.
You're talking about direct messages as sales, let's say, yeah?
Yes, and when you follow someone and you want him to follow you back, these kind of things.
Just follow and follow back, yeah. I mean, in my opinion, the best way to go about it is to first build a relationship through commenting, through posting, to go to people's environment. I mean, it's not the fastest way, but it's the most intentional way. So if you think this is a good person that I would want to be in touch with, potentially do business with, that you go to their content, you comment, you engage with them, and then at some point you say, okay, shall we connect? We've been in touch so often, and they're very likely to say yes, because we've already built that relationship. And then, maybe at some point there's a reason to take it to the DMs, you see? But I would never immediately go to the direct messages. But I personally never send direct messages. So there are others that make that their entire strategy. I prefer more in establishing expertise and then attracting the right clients. But it takes a couple of months to fully establish it. So you have to have that time. But it's a long-term strategy. All right. I think there's nobody else? We have 2 more minutes? No? All right, well, thank you. There's one, Sebastian in the corner has a question. I'm sorry, I'm a bit allergic to something.
Thank you, Leora, for the presentation. I have a genuine question, which is one of the steps, or the first step that you recommended was to choose our niche. What if we want to develop more than one niche? Do you think LinkedIn penalizes you trying to talk about many different topics? For example, in my case, I talk about AI, but I also like mental health. But my mental health posts are really not traveling. Do you think LinkedIn really tries to put you in one box and one box only?
Yeah, this is the most recurring question I get from everyone. And by the way, if you don't follow Sebastian, you should. He has amazing content, and it doesn't get enough traction. Sebastian, maybe share your LinkedIn somewhere. But this is hard. I am now very closely associated with LinkedIn. And sometimes I think, well, guys, that's not all that I do. I have 30 years of experience in broad communication. So, but the thing is, once you get your LinkedIn up and running, then you can expand to other things. So for you, I think it's AI, right? That's what gets traction. That's what people associate you with. So if you go very deep on that, you get that traction going. At that point, you can expand and do more. But if you do too much too early, before it is, before LinkedIn gives you that attention, before people do as well, people get a little bit confused. What is he posting about? And people don't follow you or come to you automatically. LinkedIn doesn't give you the right attention. So start in a narrow way. Once you have that traction, you can venture out a bit more. And you can choose 3 topics closely associated. It doesn't have to be just one, but I wouldn't do too many things. It just doesn't work. That's what we see. It's always so tempting because you have so many different ideas, politics, AI, communication. I know you do, and they're all interesting. But try to go a bit more narrow for a couple of months, and then venture out after. All right, thank you. Okay.
Thank you so much. So, dear ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, dear speakers, dear guests, dear EESC members, we have come to the end of this 18th EU Connecting seminar. I really hoped you enjoyed it, and I hope that you've learned something new, heard a different perspective, or even an enlightening idea that will stay with you after you leave Sofia. I also hope you found our debates constructive and informative. I also hope that if you joined us yesterday evening for our networking dinner, you enjoyed not only our company, but also a wonderful Bulgarian food. Over the past 2 days, we haven't solved all of Europe's problems, and we never expected to do so. But I hope we leave Sofia with a better understanding of them, with new ideas, and perhaps with a different way of communicating them. If that is the case, then I think that these 2 days have been well spent. In any case, we hope this was a positive experience for all of you, and that we will see many of you at our next Connecting EU seminar. If you want any of these presentations, please contact press unit at the EESC. I also invite you again to send us the photos you took and try to win the prize to a trip, in a way, to Brussels to attend one of the EESC events. I also invite you to fill in the satisfaction survey we will send you straight after the seminar, so we know what we did well and what we need to improve for our future editions of the seminars. And to conclude, I would like to thank the Economic and Social Council of Bulgaria for co-organizing this event with us. Your help was incredible, and this seminar simply would not have happened without you and your help and your support. I also would like to thank European Parliament Liaison Office in Bulgaria for their important support, and Sofia University St. Clement Ohridsky for welcoming us here in this beautiful building, home to the most prestigious higher educational establishment. So big clap for them. On behalf of the European Economic and Social Committee, I would also like to thank to all our speakers, our panelists, our moderators for their fantastic contributions and for sharing their expertise and knowledge with us. I would also like to thank technicians for their support. Our interpreters for their help. But also catering, volunteers, and everyone who made this event possible. But, yeah, you made, yes, of course. But before you leave for lunch, which is served in the main foyer downstairs, please humor us just one more time. Okay, take out your phone and reply to our Slido questions on the screen. So, how do you feel about the EU after attending our seminar? Enthusiastic, totally believe in it, enlightened, comme ci, comme ça, more skeptical, you killed all my hopes, or write your own answer in one word. So please. Okay, I think you are done voting. I would like to talk to the one who said that it killed all his or her hopes, but okay, this is democracy. Okay, I think that you get the idea, and thank you. Thank you for doing this. But before we say goodbye to each other, there is something else that I really, really want to do. Could you please join me in congratulating Laura Louis, the press officer at the EESC, for doing this amazing work. It is for you that maybe do not know Laura. She is the person behind all of this. You approached me and congratulated me on selection of our speakers, moderators. It is Laura. She has done an amazing work regarding Connecting EU seminar. But there are other people here from the press unit that deserve our thanks. So I would like also to ask Eva, Katarina, where is okay, Thomas, Julika, Augustina, this is the team that did all of this. But this team could not have done this unless they have an excellent director of communications. So Alexander, please join us. You're welcome. So I hope we will see each other again at our next Connecting You seminar with this team here. So, bon appetit, have a safe journey home, and see you next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maria.
Was it okay?
That's it. Excellent.